Join us as we discuss tonight's inserts on Twitter and Facebook. But first, farmers pay a lot for everything, from electricity to fuel to machinery and implements. But the sun they get for free. Some who are able to generate their own electricity from solar installations on their land say they can help prevent load shedding countrywide, if only they're given the chance. McFarlane Maledi reports.
Energy is the lifeblood of the country's socio-economic development, but the Eskom crisis has had a devastating effect on the economy. Now, farmers might have a solution.
If you install a solar system on your farm, if it's embedded generation, you generate electricity, you use that electricity generated by the plant. If you use more than that electricity, you will consume Eskom electricity, but whatever you don't consume is pushed back onto the grid.
Rakir Wade, Head of Economics and Trade at Agri-SA, says that farmers could have the capacity to generate up to 1,400 megawatts. This is the size of 2 generation units at Medupi and Kusile, enough to power a fair-sized city like Pietermaritzburg.
So in theory, if you look at this scenario of 500 projects generating around 1,400 megawatts in comparison to stage 1 load shedding, which is 1,000 megawatt, one farmer on his own won't make a difference. But if you have this chain effect where you create a virtual power station that cannot, I'm not saying it can stop load shedding, but it's already a big relief on the grid.
Ons land is in 'n krisis. So as ek in die dag kan krag maak, of as daar 100 boere is wat kan krag maak, gaan ons definitief beter kragvervoer kry.
But first intent is not to generate electricity. Unreliable power supply and an above-inflation rise in the cost of electricity has prompted farmers like Chris Buerter from Swartwater on the banks of the Limpopo River to become self-sustainable by investing in solar power.
Ons na ons kragrekening gekyk wat omtrent R100,000 'n maand is. So as ons hierdie solar plant op die been kry, dan kan ons omtrent 80% spaar daarvan.
Chris Yelland, energy expert.
Farmers could really significantly reduce their electricity bill, making them more profitable, giving them more money to invest in more productive equipment, and really grow the agricultural sector.
So the sector, relative to other sectors, is a relatively small user of electricity, but in terms of the sector itself, it can be a significant cost. So for 2018, the sector spent around 7.2 billion rand, and that's around 5% of expenditure on intermediate goods and services.
Wade says farmers need speedy solutions. The energy crisis has hit them hard, with rises in other input costs like fuel.
In the end, these things need to balance, and what happens is their margin, their profit margin and profitability and sustainability is impacted.
Small-scale solar farms like this can generate up to 1 megawatt of electricity. But to be able to link onto the Eskom grid, permission has to be granted by the National Energy Regulator, NERSA. But applications at NERSA have been gathering dust.
NERSA has taken since November 2017 to date in order to complete what is a really simple task in preparing a registration process and having it published on its website.
Ons het in 2016 begin om die sonplaas te installeer. En ja, soos jy kan sien, hy staan en ons wag.
NERSA Head of Electricity, Licensing and Dispute Resolution, Dennis Semela, says registration can only materialize once all the processes are in place and in accordance with the law.
The reason why, we're actually doing this as NERSA, the law itself stipulates clearly that there must be orderly development of generation in the country. So we're trying to get the order. The next step that NERSA was supposed to do was to come up with the regulatory rules. We cannot come up with rules without any regulation or notice from the Department of Energy.
All this red tape has not only frustrated farmers, it's left them out of pocket.
So what would you say the financial implications have been due to this delay from NERSA?
Die plant soos wat jy hom hier sien, ek moet dit afbetaal. Ek kry niks daarvan af terug nie. Ek betaal nog steeds my elektrisiteit elke maand. Ons praat in die omgewing van so R100,000 net vir elektrisiteit. En dis nou nie eers die paaiement wat ons betaal op die lening vir die sonpanele nie. Dit is 'n geweldige druk op die plaas.
Cecilia Mendile from the farm Sonvrug near Kakamas in the Northern Cape is equally frustrated, as they too have to carry the cost of their more than 8 million rand investment.
Ons wag al vir 'n jaar vir die registrasies om deur te gaan. Die vertraging van NERSA om die sonplas te registreer het ons sak geraak. Ons het baie dae load shedding gehad en dit vir ons baie geaffekteer. Even die drywe, die Wingerdse water, die siklusse word laat en dit beïnvloed ons oes en dit is baie sensitief. Dit's iets wat nie kan oorslaap nie.
It's insane. It's called an white elephant these days. And the thing is with load shedding on a farm, if you load shed a farm, there's so much stuff that can go wrong. They can't irrigate on the farm at all. Their products can die.
Solar expert Chris Skitter has been assisting farmers with the registration process.
Why does it take so long?
We don't know why it's taking so long. NASA's been knowing about the registration process from 2012. The DOE taught them about the registration process and they haven't got to it. They knew it was coming and still, like this project here, we applied in the beginning of March 2018. It's a year later and still we don't have a registration.
The National Energy Regulator has to grant farmers permission to plug into the national grid. However, they have been dragging their feet.
As far back as 2006, the Electricity Regulations Act stipulated that generation facilities should be licensed and registered. 10 years later, small-scale embedded generators were only required to register, a decision that was only confirmed by NERSA a year later. In October 2018, NERSA approved a registration process and published it on their website. To date, no SSEGs have been registered.
So we had to put mechanisms in place that complies with the law. And then thereafter, the law itself as well stipulates that must come up with the forms. The law again stipulates that, for registration, Section 9 again, registration must be accompanied by a registration fee.
How much is the registration fee?
It's 200 rand. It may have taken time, about a year, but we did that. We've already approved the procedure and the form. As I'm talking now, there's nothing that stops anybody from applying.
Look, the issue here is I don't think is applying. It's the length of time that it's taking. And this is coming at a heavy cost, especially for farmers that are so dependent on electricity.
Remember that, for NERSA to do anything, any decision that we have to make, it has to go through the public participation process, and that takes time.
I would say that to blame the delays that we're seeing on a public participation process is absolute nonsense. NERSA held it for the draft IRP and it closed in March 2018. And finally, end of March 2019, well, end of March 2019 is come and gone. We still don't have an IRP.
There are a lot of farmers at this stage that wants to connect onto the grid, and we believe that if NERSA speed up their process and get the registration done, that can help with cost.
We had electricity going up by about 14%. Farmers once again will bear a huge burden on this. Can this process not be sped up?
We're doing this for the first time. Okay, we're also learning from other countries. We're engaging them to actually fast-track this process for the future. And hopefully we'll get there.
While NERSA is trying to get its house in order, and with not a single solar farm registered to date, it is not only farmers who are losing out.
So the 1,400 megawatts that the farmers are talking about is a fraction of the potential that is available from small-scale generation that is distributed around the country, that can be applied quickly and at no cost to government. So unless we really grasp this opportunity, the economy of South Africa is seriously missing out.
Die boodskap wat ons deur wil gee by die regering en NERSA is dat ons met die sonkrag wou ons wou dit nie net vir die plaas gedoen het nie. Ons wou dit vir almal om mense te help en vir Suid-Afrika. Van met die sonkrag sal ons baie krag spaar.
As ons die kragrekening bietjie kleiner kan maak, kan ek my produk vir jou goedkoper op jou tafel sit.
This is definitely one example where we can make a difference. Let's open up the barriers, break down the barriers. Let's not stop and block it. It is an opportunity.